As a kid, his world was one square block. Any further was too dangerous. Today, his world is a 100-yard field, and he's famous for the green and gold and silver and black he's worn. This is the incredible true story of how a kid from the hood became one of the highest paid wide receivers in NFL history. In March of 2022, Davante Adams signed a 5-year contract worth over $140 million, making him the highest paid wide receiver in the history of the NFL. It was a moment of incredible triumph, the culmination of a long and difficult journey. A journey that began in a place where a contract like that was not just a dream, it was an impossibility. It began in East Palo Alto, California. In 1992, the year before Davante Adams was born, the small city of East Palo Alto had a population of only 24,000 people. That same year, it had 42 murders, giving it the grim and notorious title of the murder capital of the United States. This was the world Davante was born into, a world of pervasive gang violence, drug activity, and deep poverty. He has described his childhood as being surrounded by constant danger, a place where the sound of gunshots was a normal part of his day. In an interview, he once said, "I was at the park, and a guy got shot and was right down the street. You get numb to it after a while, and it's a bad thing to say, but it's the truth." In this world, survival was a daily struggle, and for Davante's parents, Douglas Adams and Deanna Moore, their most important job was protecting their 4 children from the chaos outside their door. They enforced a strict set of rules, a code for survival in East Palo Alto. The first and most important rule was about colors. Davante was strictly forbidden from wearing red or blue, the colors of the local rival gangs. Wearing the wrong color on the wrong street was a simple mistake that could get you killed. He also had a firm curfew. Be home before the streetlights come on, and he was not allowed to venture beyond a specific block. His world was small, a protective bubble his parents had created for him. Their second strategy for keeping him safe was to keep him busy. From a young age, sports were a sanctuary, a structured and safe alternative to the idle time that got so many other kids in his neighborhood into trouble. He was a gifted 2-sport athlete, a star in both basketball and football. Basketball was his first love, but it was on the football field where his future would be forged. This was the strange duality of his childhood. He was a kid living a normal life of school and sports, but it was set against a backdrop of constant danger. The sound of a bouncing basketball was often mixed with the sound of distant sirens. The joy of a touchdown on a Friday night was followed by the need to be careful on the walk home. This environment forced him to grow up fast. As he put it, you see certain things and you're exposed to things that a lot of kids that age aren't. It makes you mature fast. It makes you really appreciate what you have. That maturity, that appreciation, and that quiet determination to build a different life for himself became the fuel for his dream. He wasn't just playing for fun. He was playing for a way out. And despite the incredible odds stacked against a kid from East Palo Alto, he was about to prove that talent, combined with a relentless work ethic, could overcome any circumstance. That fight for survival turned him into an unstoppable force at Palo Alto High School. But even an unstoppable force can be overlooked. At Palo Alto High School, Davante Adams was a dominant 2-sport athlete, a gifted basketball player who could have pursued a career on the court, but his true calling was football. In his senior season, he was an unstoppable force, a receiver who caught 64 passes for over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns, leading his team all the way to a state championship. He had proven he was one of the best players in his area. But in the competitive world of college football recruiting, he was practically invisible. He was rated as a lowly 2-star recruit, a label that usually means a player isn't considered good enough to play for a major program. He was seen as undersized and raw. The few schools that did show interest wanted him to play defensive back, not the receiver position where he knew he could dominate. The path out of East Palo Alto was proving to be much harder than he had imagined. But one school saw his potential, Fresno State. They were one of the only programs to offer him a scholarship to play wide receiver, and it was there that he was paired with a young gunslinging quarterback named Derek Carr. The connection was instant. The results were historic. After redshirting his first year to get bigger and stronger, Adams and Carr formed one of the most explosive quarterback-receiver duos in the history of college football. In his freshman season, Adams was a sensation, catching over 100 passes for more than 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns. But that was just a warm-up. In his sophomore season in 2013, he was a one-man wrecking crew. He put up video game numbers, leading the entire nation in almost every major receiving category. He finished the year with an incredible 131 receptions, 1,718 yards, and 24 touchdowns. He wasn't just good, He was the most productive wide receiver in all of college football. After just 2 seasons of rewriting the record books, he declared for the NFL draft. He was no longer the overlooked 2-star recruit. He was a certified star. The Green Bay Packers selected him in the 2nd round of the 2014 NFL Draft. A dream come true. He was now teammates with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Aaron Rodgers. The kid from the murder capital of America had made it. His fairy tale, however, was about to turn into a nightmare. After a decent rookie year, his 2nd season in the NFL was a complete and utter disaster. When the team's #1 receiver Jordy Nelson went down with a season-ending injury, Adams was thrust into a starting role he was not ready for. The pressure was immense, and he crumbled. He was plagued by nagging ankle injuries. But worse, he developed a severe case of the drops. Passes that he should have caught easily were bouncing off his hands. His confidence was shattered. Week after week, he would stall drives with critical drops, becoming the main target of a frustrated Packers fan base. The numbers from his 2015 season were brutal. He caught only 50 of his 94 targets, with just 1 single touchdown. He was labeled a bust, a 2nd-round pick who couldn't handle the big leagues. The dream that had gotten him out of East Palo Alto now looked like it was fading. The quiet kid who had survived a world of real-life danger was now facing his first professional rock bottom, a public failure on a national stage. The fans had given up on him. The media had written him off as a bust. But there was one person in Green Bay locker room who never lost faith, and that belief would change everything. After his disastrous 2015 season, Davante Adams was at a crossroads. He was a player drowning in self-doubt, a young man whose lifelong dream was turning into a public nightmare. The physical talent that had gotten him out of East Palo Alto into the NFL was not enough. He was being exposed on a national stage, and his career was hanging by a thread. In these moments, a young player needs support, and Adams got it from the most important person in the building, his superstar quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. While fans and critics were calling for Adams to be benched or even cut, Rodgers, a notoriously demanding leader, did something remarkable. He publicly and repeatedly defended his struggling young receiver. He told the media, "I'm a Davante Adams fan. I have been since the day he got here. I think he's a special player, and he has a special work ethic. I have a lot of trust in him." For a player whose confidence was completely shattered, that public backing from a future Hall of Famer was a lifeline. It was a clear message. The leader of the team still believed in him. Now it was up to Adams to prove that belief was justified. That offseason was the turning point of his career. He didn't just hope to get better, he became obsessed with perfecting his craft. He knew his raw athleticism wasn't enough, so he decided to transform himself into a master technician. He spent countless hours in the gym and on the practice field, relentlessly working on the fundamentals. He ran thousands of routes. He got thousands of passes. Most importantly, he became a student of the wide receiver position, focusing obsessively on his release off the line of scrimmage. He studied film of the league's best cornerbacks, dissecting their techniques, looking for any weaknesses he could exploit. He drilled his footwork over and over again, working to make his first 2 steps off the line of scrimmage so quick and so deceptive that defenders wouldn't even be able to get their hands on him. He was no longer just relying on his talent, he was building an arsenal of skills. When he returned for the 2016 season, he was a completely different player. The hesitation was gone. The drops disappeared. In their place was a confident, dominant receiver. The turnaround was immediate and spectacular. After catching just 1 touchdown in 2015, he exploded for 12 touchdowns in 2016. After failing to even crack 500 yards the year before, he finished with just under 1,000 yards. He went from being one of the least reliable receivers in the league to Aaron Rodgers' most trusted target in the red zone. He had silenced the critics. He had rewarded his quarterback's faith. The bust narrative was dead. This was the beginning of his climb to the absolute peak of his profession. The following season, he made his first Pro Bowl, and he would go on to be selected to the Pro Bowl every single year after that. He was no longer just a good receiver. He was becoming a master. His release off the line of scrimmage, the skill he had worked so obsessively to perfect, was now widely considered the best in the entire NFL. His footwork was so precise and so sudden that even the most elite cornerbacks in the world were left grabbing at air. He wasn't the fastest receiver in the league, but he didn't need to be. He was the smartest and the most skilled. He had completed the climb. He had gone from a professional rock bottom to being recognized as one of the very best at his craft. He had silenced the critics and earned the respect of the entire league. Now it was time to get paid. By the 2020 season, Davante Adams had fully ascended to the top of the NFL mountain. The years of relentless work on his craft had paid off, transforming him from a player with questionable hands into the most feared route runner in the game. His connection with quarterback Aaron Rodgers had evolved from a simple partnership into a near telepathic bond. Defensive coordinators knew what was coming, but they were powerless to stop it. The back shoulder throws, the lightning-quick releases, the impossible sideline catches. It was a weekly masterclass in technical perfection. Adams was no longer just a Pro Bowler. He was an unstoppable force. In a 2020 season where he missed 2 games due to injury, he still put up staggering numbers, catching 115 passes and leading the league with a remarkable 18 touchdowns. He was named the first-team All-Pro, the highest honor a player can receive, officially recognizing him as the best at his position. He proved it wasn't a fluke by being even better the following year, setting a Packers franchise record with 123 receptions for over 1,500 yards, and was named an All-Pro for the 2nd consecutive season. The kid who was once a 2-star recruit, the player who was once labeled a bust by his own fanbase, was now on a clear path to the Hall of Fame. After his dominant 2021 season, his rookie contract was up, and he was due for a massive payday, a contract that would reflect his status as the best in the game. Everyone assumed he would re-sign with Green Bay to finish his career with Aaron Rodgers and continue their historic partnership. But Davante had other plans. They were rooted in a connection that went even deeper than the one he had with his legendary quarterback. He wanted to go home, in a sense, and reunite with his college quarterback and best friend Derek Carr. The Packers, unwilling to let him walk, placed a franchise tag on him, a move that would keep him in Green Bay for 1 more year. But Adams made it clear he would not play on the tag. It was a high-stakes standoff. In March of 2022, the football world was stunned when the Packers, faced with an impossible situation, traded Davante Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders. It was a move that broke up one of the most successful partnerships in the league. But for Adams, it was a chance to fulfill a long-held dream of playing with the man he had started his journey with at Fresno State. It was a story of loyalty, a choice to bet on a friendship forged in the fires of college football. And it came with the ultimate triumph. Immediately upon his arrival in Las Vegas, the Raiders signed him to a historic, record-breaking contract. The deal was for 5 years and $141.25 million. It was a number that was almost impossible to comprehend for a kid from East Palo Alto. The contract included over $65 million in guaranteed money and would pay him an average of over $28 million per year. At that moment, the deal made Davante Adams the highest-paid wide receiver in the history of the National Football League. This was the ultimate payoff, the final and definitive peak of his incredible journey. The kid from the murder capital of America, the young man who was forbidden from wearing certain colors for his own safety, was now the richest receiver in the history of the sport he had used as his escape. It was a testament to his relentless work ethic, a story of a player who wasn't born with the same blazing speed as some of his peers, but who outworked and outskilled every single one of them to become the best. His legacy is now secure. He is a lock for the Hall of Fame, but more than that, he's a symbol of what is possible. His story is a powerful reminder that a person's starting point does not have to determine their final destination. He is a testament to the power of dedication, to the idea that you can transform yourself from a player with unreliable hands into the most technically perfect route runner in the game through sheer force of will. His story is bigger than football. It's about a young man who navigated a world of danger, who faced public failure and ridicule, and who never stopped believing in himself. The first thing he did after signing his first major contract was to provide for his family, ensuring that the struggles he faced would be a thing of the past for them. His journey is a powerful reminder that a person's starting point does not have to determine their final destination. From the dangers of East Palo Alto to the peak of the NFL, Davante Adams proved that relentless work can overcome any circumstance. He finished at the very top. It proves that a player's true strength isn't measured in the weight room or at the NFL Combine. It's measured in resilience, the ability to get knocked down over and over again and find a way to keep moving forward. Davante Adams never stopped moving forward. So, who is another player with an incredible comeback story? Share it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more rags to riches stories.